Welcome to the Manor, guys. This is the Julien McBain Show. So, as I've transitioned the vlog into a podcast, or attempting to transition the vlog into a podcast, deciding how to utilize it the best way has been something that's been very interesting to kind of go through, because it's a new experience for me. I've done the vlog, and I had a lot of vlog episodes. I did it for more than a year. I think that it went very well insofar as what it was designed to do. But I think that a podcast is a much better manner of doing things than a vlog is. Because in a vlog, you have a kind of a randomness to it. Whereas podcasts tend to have more of a general direction they're going. And so deciding really what I want to do with that's still on the table. I haven't come up with a final decision. I know the last two have been very thematic to Fallout 76. And I did that for several reasons, because it was an opportunity for me to rant about food builds and an opportunity to rant about how Bethesda keeps screwing with the PvP, which is something that's kind of a pain for a lot of us. Apparently he was shooting at that too. And so it's just one of those cases where I'm still getting my feet underneath me, like what I really want this podcast to become, because that's my goal, is to build this into an actual podcast. I don't know if I'm not going to be changing this whole channel over to it, although I may move the podcast itself to a separate channel and then dedicate this channel more to the Let's Plays and the things like that, do more Entropia Universe content again. I haven't made that decision yet. But I do have an announcement to make, and it's an announcement I'm very excited to make. I never thought something like this would happen, especially to a small channel like mine with 355 or 356 subscribers. So this will release on Saturday. Wait a second, are there two of them? Oh, they're just in the same armor. I'm like, God, tell me this isn't glitching out again. This is coming out on Saturday. The day I'm recording this is Thursday. For those of you watching, tomorrow I will be releasing a very special video. I'm assuming it's tomorrow. If for whatever reason I can't get it pulled together, it'll be Wednesday. But either way, it's coming out this week. It should be tomorrow. The developers of Virtueverse approached me. Actually, their head developer approached me and sent me a message. In full disclosure, I am one of the Virtueverse backers. So I am contributing to their Patreon to try to get this thing going. So that's full disclosure. And I won't deny there's a good chance that that's why I was asked to do this. But the head developer of Virtueverse approached me and said, hey, we'd like you to do some content on an update we're doing to our crafting system. If I give you the materials, would you be interested in doing it? And after getting over my initial shock, I was like, hell yes. I am not passing up that opportunity. So I did some dickering with Finn, who is the head developer over at Virtueverse, on how to execute it in a way that works for the way my channel operates, that also works in a way that's going to be attractive. We got kind of the details meted out, so you'll see that when I do the video, but I'm really looking forward to putting that video together. I'll have the remaining assets that I need in order to do that here within the next 24 hours or so. And so that's very, very exciting. I'm really excited to have this opportunity to do this expose on their Crafting 2.0 system. And I know there's an irony to talking about one game when you're in a game that's by its very nature going to compete with it. Or more accurately, Virtueverse will compete with Entropia Universe. But I think that the while there is a certain type of player that will play a real cash economy game, which both games, Entropia Universe is and Virtueverse will be, the gameplay style of Virtueverse is fundamentally different from Entropia Universe. And that's something I think a lot of Entropia players who went over and played weren't expecting. And so they saw things, they're used to the gameplay in Entropia Universe, and they're like, well, how can you do that? And the biggest one is we actually had a player, and I'm not going to out who the player is. I don't even remember their name, to be honest. But they were complaining because they said, well, there's an exploit. These people are running away from mobs while they're shooting them. And those of us who have played other MMOs are like, it's called kiting. It's like, no, that's an exploit. No, seriously. Like we had to pull one of the devs in and say, no, this is legit. It's called kiting. And if you go back to my Virtueverse EA3 playlist, the first video on there has me taking on something that is way over my level. And I spend like 15 minutes kiting this thing around the zone, shooting it with a sniper rifle as I run away from it like a scared child. Like, ah! And so, but I think that the two games are both going to attract an audience that definitely plays both games. But there are going to be players who play Entropia Universe who aren't interested in how active you have to be in the battles of Virtueverse. And there are going to be a lot of people who play Virtueverse who don't like the passive combat system of Entropia Universe by its nature. Like, Entropia Universe is the perfect game for doing something like this. Or you're playing the game and you're doing something else, like watching a movie in the background. And to a lot of people, that's counterintuitive to playing a game, but there are people who enjoy doing that. That's what I like to do when I just want to chill. Like, this is the ultimate chill game experience. Oh, and by the way, real money is involved. Virtueverse is not that. Virtueverse is a lot more active. Now, there are passive things you can do in the game, like you don't have to pay so much attention when you're mining, as long as there aren't mobs in the area like any other game. If you're crafting, and I don't know how, I haven't been through the materials of crafting 2.0, but like crafting 1.0 was very similar to the EU model where you, or the Warcraft model. It's the same thing. In Warcraft, the only difference is you don't go to a machine. You just rub your hands together, watch a progress bar go back and forth. I mean, it's an MMO crafting system. There's only so many ways you can make the mechanics work unless you're doing it like Fable style. And realistically, how many players are going to sit there and do the quick time event over and over and over and over again? They're not. So crafting is one of those things in game where you say, okay, I need 100 iterations of that, and then you F off for a while, you know? That's just how it works. Oh, I left my water glass downstairs. Oh well. And so, yeah, that's really where the fundamental difference is going to come in, is that the combat styles are so drastically different. And the PvP, like, PvP in Entropia Universe is okay, but the PvP in Virtueverse is a lot more like the PvP in, say, like Fallout 76. Far more active, requires far more reflexes. And I'm not saying that to rag on Entropia Universe. Entropia Universe has its strengths. I mean, it wouldn't have been around for 17 years if it hadn't. But I think that Virtueverse is going to take a lot of the things that I wish were in Entropia Universe and put them in. It doesn't mean I'm going to abandon EU. I doubt that'll ever happen unless they shut the servers down. But it's a matter of what kind of a gameplay experience am I looking for today. You know, lately on my channel, I've been doing a lot of Fallout 76. I've been doing a lot of first-person shooter stuff. Because that's when I needed a break from this, and I needed something that was a little more active, a little more combative, but you still had the grind, right? Because you know how I am about the grind. It's all about the grind. And Fallout 76 is pretty freaking grindy. because you got to harvest all the materials to make the mats. The mats get you what you need. And realistically, half the time, by the time you gather the mats, you're already using them. Especially at low level. But it's a survival game. That's the whole point. That's why I liked We Happy Few, because it was a survival game. And it's not supposed to be easy. It's supposed to be difficult. It just depends on what you're looking for out of a game that particular day. And so I'm really looking forward to seeing what they do with it. And I'm really looking forward to putting this video together over the course of the next 2 days. That video may or may not end up being less of my raw footage video. There might be jump cuts as I do clips. I haven't figured out how I'm going to put that together yet. Because I do have the ability to put clips together. I do have software to do that. I don't have any real video editing software outside that particular auspice. And it's something I've thought about investing in. I really need to have more coming in off the channel before I dump money into it any more than I do already. Speaking of which, if you like what I do, please consider going to patreon.com/Julien McBain. You will get a copy of The Modern Entropian, which is my ebook regarding how money works in Entropia Universe. And I just started work. This is the other announcement I had to make. I just started work on Personal Finance for Gamers, the ebook, which will be available through my Patreon when it's done. I have spent probably 6 hours in the last 2 days doing that. I took tonight off to attend a Zoom meeting tonight, and then to make this video, which is, I'm actually making this after 9 p.m., which is not a time I'm usually doing work unless I'm live streaming. So I did not work on it today. I will work on it before my live stream tomorrow in all likelihood. And then Saturday, I will probably be doing the Virtueverse video. I want to make sure I get that one right. Because if they're going to offer me an opportunity, I'm going to make sure I do the job right. It would be very unfortunate if I did not. So yeah. And the Modern Entropian, Personal Finance for Gamers is going to actually spark a string of videos in and of itself. And I'm going to be doing more videos on this sort of thing as I go. But I was thinking about it, and I think that I can restructure how I did the videos I did. I'm going to review them, and it might be fine, because it might just be me, the brain weasels getting in my head. But I want to continue doing those educational videos, because that's what I'm good at to a certain extent, and I think that they can be helpful. And once I have the book written, I can reference things in the book where I can say, okay, if you look here in this, you can find X. And I might do like 2 versions of it, where one is for people who don't have it, one who does. I don't know. I'm still figuring that out. I keep wanting to do more and more, but I only have so many hours in the day. Only so many hours in the day. And realistically, when you're trying to do something like this, that's one of the things you have to contend with, is if you can't do this full time, you have to balance out, what can I do in the time that I have in order to make sure that I produce the quality that I want. Because contrary to popular belief, you can absolutely just like overwhelm with the sheer volume of stuff you put out. That is actually not difficult. Making sure the volume that you put out is still of quality is the hard part. And over the last like month and a half, actually, you know what, pretty much since the whole debacle. Yes, that debacle. The debacle that has us all staying at home debacle. Ever since that all started, I've been having a hard time, because I've had other things going on that have sapped my energy and taken my brain space. And so that space that I devoted to the creative and to putting out information and doing videos like this, that had really been subsumed by everything else going on. Well, the majority of that stuff has been resolved. My brain is starting to kick back into high gear. We're not dealing with schizophrenic weather anymore, if you'll excuse the expression, because Vermont has a nasty habit of deciding that on Monday it's summer, and on Tuesday it's winter. I am not kidding. We had a 60-degree day, and the next day we had snow. And we're not talking just a little dusting on the ground. It was like 2 inches. And everyone woke up and we're like, what? But it's May. Right? Snow in April? We get snow in April. We don't care about snow in April. We have had snow in May. It's just not coming. We had snow in the second week of May. The only thing worse is when the year we got snow on Memorial Day weekend. Thankfully, I was out of state. I could just point and laugh at them. And then I moved back. Of course, they were pointing and laughing at me because I had below zero weather while they still had 60 degrees. So, I guess it kind of evens out. But yeah, so I'm working on increasing the volume of content that I'm putting out. I know it's a constant struggle. I still need to do more on my website. The poor thing is I haven't done a whole lot with it, and I really need to. Like, seriously, I haven't put an article out since January. I'm aware of this. I should be putting out 52 articles a year, one every Monday. And that was my original plan, and it just hasn't materialized, and that's on me. I recognize that's on me. But I'm going to work on personal finance for gamers. I need to make sure that I am producing for my patron, or patrons hopefully in the future. And then I'm going to start working on getting more of those articles out for McBainManor.com. There's still quite a few there. I also have several short stories that are there. I might produce videos that will be exclusive to that particular website, where it's like, okay, it's a YouTube video, but it's embedded and it's unlisted. So you have to go to the website to do that. And I don't know if I'm going to do that yet or not. It's something that's come to my mind. But what content I would create for that form is something that I have not come up with yet. So that's life in the world of Julien McBain. I'm really, really tempted to shoot him. Just do some PvP. PvP in Fallout has been just non-existent. I think I was able to initiate one fight where we went like a dozen rounds, and finally my armor was breaking. I just had to go back. I'm like, GG, guys. And they were gracious. They were like, yeah, GG, awesome. Because that's the way it should be. But it's been fun over there at Fallout 76. I've been rolling around the wastelands with Lure Spade and with Nuka-Cola Riley and Rincewind 75, Dr. Boomstick. Go sub to their channels, especially if you like Fallout 76 as well as Entropia Universe. Lure's, of course, is the only one that plays... Oh, come on. Where's the first one I shot? Oh, screw it. That plays Entropia Universe. But they're all great content creators. They put out a lot of good stuff. They're all PvPers. And they put out a lot of good stuff. Go check them out. Seriously. And I guess the last thing, this is something that shocked me, and I'm going to address it here because I have no better place to address it. Someone else made a huge wave within the last week that shocked the hell out of me and just about everyone else on YouTube, I think. So, for those of you who don't know, aren't big into the podcasting world, I'm sure everyone's heard this by now. Joe Rogan, who has like the most iconic podcast in the world. I think he's #1 podcaster in the world. He pretty much invented the genre with the Joe Rogan Experience like 11 years ago. The man is the father of podcasting and vodcasting. Has apparently signed a huge contract to go to Spotify by the end of the year, like exclusive to Spotify. He is leaving YouTube. And I heard that, I'm like, oh my god. Like, all of that content and all of his old videos are going to Spotify. And Spotify didn't do video originally, so I'm kind of wondering if they designed their new video platform just for Rogan, which would be a brilliant move because the man moves traffic. Like, he has a ridiculous audience of which I am a member. I love watching the Joe Rogan Experience when I have the opportunity to. I can't say I've watched all of his episodes or that I watch every episode he puts out, but I definitely watch the ones that have people that interest me. And it's just nuts to think that Rogan is just piecing out off YouTube. And I'm not going to get into all of the supposition on why he might be doing it. I know part of it's because YouTube has been cracking down on a lot of channels over controversial reasons. And I'm not going to get wholly into that. I've considered starting doing the podcast, a podcast on the Nightmare Dystopia, but I'm not going there yet. I'm hesitant to because I've got 356 subscribers. YouTube could just knock me off. And then that'll be it. No more Julien McBain. But at the same time, it's one of those things where you have to look at everything that's going on and wonder, why would Rogan choose now? You gotta know he makes just a boatload of money. Just a boatload of money off every episode through YouTube. All of that revenue. And yet he must have been given a sweet offer. And I, good for him. Like, this is not me upset. Good for him. He, people have made it on YouTube. Rogan made YouTube. I think he's probably the most successful overall. I mean, you could argue PewDiePie is probably more successful technically. But I don't know, man. When it comes to becoming an icon, Rogan and PewDiePie would probably have to fight each other for that title. And if it's a match between the two of them, I'm putting every penny I have on Rogan. I'm sorry. The two of them get into an octagon, it's done. And I'm not bashing PewDiePie on that. It's just Rogan's an MMA fighter. Like, I'm a fighter. Okay, I've stepped into the ring. I've done Armored Combat Leagues level stuff. It was only once, but I've done it. It was only once, but I've done it. Gotten in the armor. There are almost no rules, and just gone to town. I've done it, so I get it. If I were to step into the octagon with Rogan, I'd be like, I am so screwed. I'd make as good a showing as I possibly could of it. I wouldn't just give up. But the question would be, is how badly am I going to lose this fight? And that's just me being realistic. Because when I step into the Eric, this is what happens when one does not pay attention. When I step into the Eric with someone who I know is significantly better than me, I don't necessarily jump into the Eric to win. I jump into the Eric to learn. It's like, this person is 99% likely to beat me. How this person beats me will be instructive on what I need to improve. Now, the sport that I play is a lot more technical and a lot less beat stick. But it doesn't mean I don't recognize that would be the situation. And I would be more likely to beat Rogan in my style than I would ever be able to beat Rogan in his style. And I mean, that's true of any martial art, but the reason why is because my style is more focused on technical skill and less on being able to knock your opponent out, because you don't want to pez your opponent when you're fencing. Not even in historical fencing, not even the heavier styles. In MMA, you're looking to put him down. In ACL, you're looking to put him down. I think if I were to fight Rogan, I'd challenge him to doing ACL combat. Because that's where I would have the chance. And the only reason is because I'm used to fighting with a weapon, and I'm not sure that he is. But the thing is every shot he takes at me, every blow I take will be 3 times to 10 times as damaging as anything I dish to him. And that's a matter of body mass. So I'm not ragging on PewDiePie. I tangented there for a minute. I'm not ragging on PewDiePie when I say that if he and Rogan were to get into a fight, Rogan would mop the floor with him. It's just a matter of looking at the differing skill levels and the physical build and saying, yeah, that's what's going to happen. I mean, and it's entirely possible I could be proven wrong. Maybe PewDiePie took some sort of martial art class or he takes, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and I don't know about it. That's entirely possible. And he could get down there and roll with Rogan and, maybe he could win. I've just never heard him talk about it, so that's my assumption. And you know what they say about assumptions. But, okay. I think that's all I have. In the end, good stuff is coming. I'm really enjoying things. I'm looking forward to seeing what the future brings, and I'm really looking forward to putting this video for you. It's something I never thought I would have the opportunity to do. Okay, so the Julien McBain Show is a McBain Manor production. We're the fastest growing Raider podcast in the Wasteland, which I'm not in the Wasteland, but I'm also the fastest growing podcast in Entropia Universe. Make sure you subscribe, guys. Have a good day.